All right. Howdy, Twitch. Howdy, YouTube. How you doing? How you feeling? Welcome to the show. Jimmy Moreland here for you from veteranaudio.com. Voice actor, audiobook narrator, and music producer. And today on the show, we're going to do like we always do. We're going to head over to the top voiceover casting websites. That's voices.com and voice123.com. We're going to do some auditions. These are live, real auditions from real clients offering us real money to use our voices. After we do the voiceover auditions, we'll head over to ACX, that's the Audiobook Creation Exchange, and see if there's any interesting audiobook projects that we can take a look at. But we are chock full of audiobook work right now, up to our necks in it. So we will likely be trying to run through this live stream as quickly as we can, being nice and efficient so that we can get to our audiobook work, because we've got a lot of it to do. So let's take a look at what we're going to be seeing today. That is Pro Tools on the left here and our websites and copy and all this stuff on the right. Pro Tools is what I use to record and edit in. It is not by any means something that you need if you want to do this kind of work. In fact, I recommend against Pro Tools for a beginner. Unless you're producing music and collaborating with certain kinds of other music producers, Pro Tools is not the choice. There are a lot better options out there, and you can get started for free using Audacity. That is a free platform out there that you can grab and give this kind of stuff a shot. All right, let's take a look at the websites, though. Over here on the right, we've got voices.com. We're going to go ahead and refresh this page and take a look at the jobs here. Inspiring fitness video. We like to respect our own time, so if we find an audition that maybe it's got a good budget and all this other stuff, but maybe we're just not the best fit for it, and it seems unlikely that we would get picked, then we'll probably skip it, because why spend our own time on something that has such a low likelihood of happening for us? But let's take a look. Okay, so this is for the for personal trainers. This is trying to basically get people to consider getting a personal trainer certification. NASM is the National Association of Sports Medicine. Sports medicine is the SM for sure. There was a time where I held a personal training certification from Nesta, which I don't even think is around anymore. Maybe not the most prestigious organization if it's not even around anymore, but NASM, I believe, is like the biggest certifying organization for personal trainers. So they are legit. So you know what? Just for fun, let's just for the sake of the stream even, we're going to go ahead and do this audition. I glanced at the audition script to get a sense of like what the hell we're talking about, but I haven't gone through line by line and read it, because I like to read auditions cold so that I can be surprised as I read. And you only have one chance to be surprised. And sometimes something magical can happen during a read where you are cold and therefore being surprised. We're going to make it to where you can hear, there may be a little bit of a phasing effect right now, but that's just so that you can hear the output of Pro Tools, because I'm going to be doing punch and roll recording for most of these auditions. And you'll see what that means when we get into it. But let's get into it. You understand dedication because you've gained so much from it. You know the power of discipline, no doubt. You understand dedication because you've gained... What? Is this meant to be... Why are they repeating this? Is this meant to be like rapped or sung? Like, it kind of makes no sense. This is giving me pause and making me think I'm absolutely not the right talent for this. They may be going for something a little different, so we are going to pass on this, actually. All right, let's take a look here. Audiobook, supporting character voice. So someone is producing a multicast audiobook, which is not the norm. Multicast audiobooks are far and away not the standard here. This is an unbelievably insulting budget. $75 for reading 2,000 words. There's no genre. There's no, like... So, okay, here's the problem here. Sorry, my eyes got something going on. Here's the problem here. If this was an e-learning job, e-learning, this is like a totally reasonable length for an e-learning job. There you're getting generally paid like by the word or by the finished minute or something. And something like this, for this length, you would expect to be paying like maybe $400 or $500 or more, depending on the client. So obviously we're not working on the scale of e-learning. But if you think, on the scale of audiobooks, where you're generally paid by the finished hour, if you do that math, like this actually is a really good rate, except for audiobooks, the minimum is 1 hour. No matter how long the copy actually is, the standard in audiobooks, if your audiobook is shorter than 1 hour, you still pay for a full finished hour's worth of rate. So for me, for example, my rate for per finished hour that all of my new clients are quoted is $250 per finished hour. So, yeah, this is for an audiobook, but and I don't care that it's only 13 minutes. You're going to pay me for my full, because there's a lot of setup and other things that go into preparing a project, and that's what that minimum hour rate is for. So this budget is pretty insultingly low for the amount of time that talent is going to spend putting this together. And so maybe this is just a lack of client education, but not, absolutely not. All right, moving on. So I'm interested to see some of the tags that this person has put in, because we're only a 60% voice match, and it's rare that I see anything with that low of a match. Video games would be the first thing, but usually video games gets me an 80 or 90% based on what the other tags are. But let's take a look at the tags, and we see role, villain, style, aggressive, and panicky. And that's great as far as being really descriptive and giving talent a sense of what they're actually looking for. So that's great. But that does mean that just algorithmically, I'm going to show up so low in this client's feed when they're seeing all the auditions roll in that it's extremely unlikely that I'll be heard. This might be a cool thing to do anyway, because you got to figure with these tags, a lot of other talent out there are also going to be showing up as a low voice match percentage. You'd have to really have a lot of demos out there for you to sort of waste the opportunity cost on these tags. But let's see here. We're going to look at this just because it's great when clients include a link to a reference. So let's take a look.
Where am I? What the hell?
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper.
Who are all you people? Where's Mia?
Now, who are we trying to listen for?
Eat it. It's good.
Dumb son bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Yes.
All right. Sadistic, twisted, deranged, thirsty for blood, all this kind of stuff. All right. I feel like it's too early in the day. I'm not in the mood for I'm not in the mood for reading this kind of crazy shit on stream. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, this client, generally we pass on this client's jobs. They tend to be really low budget. They tend to be not really well suited to what we do. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs from this client. This client is busy today. We're going to pass on them. This client, so this, you love to see this gold badge here, worked together previously. I recognize the client and the job and everything, but suffice it to say that I know for a fact that there is no chance that I would get hired for this job. Let's just leave it at that. But let's take a look at this last job here. Dynago brand video. Already 100 responses. And that's not an estimate, that's an exact number. They don't round or anything on voices.com. So there are 100 people who have gotten to this job before me. And we can see that is because this got posted yesterday afternoon after I ended the stream. I tend to do all of my auditions, I tend to save them for the stream. I did do one or two late last night because I happened to be working on an audiobook right when those auditions came in, and they were worth my time, shall we say. But this one came in right after I ended the stream yesterday, so it's had nearly a full 24 hours of people taking a shot at getting this budget here, and so we're going to respect our own time and trust that there ain't no way they're going to listen to audition number 101. So we're going to archive that one. Very, very annoying that on voices.com, once the job has turned from open to deciding, it says right there, client is no longer accepting responses and talent are being considered. So it says right there, client is no longer accepting responses. And yet my only option up here is to reply to the job. I can't archive the job. Voices, come on. Like, get it together. Like, what are you doing? I just don't understand sometimes. So both these jobs are deciding, and I can't archive them. So it just sort of bugs me that I can't get rid of this from just sitting here in my queue. But that is everything on Voices that quickly. And if I weren't on the stream here explaining everything that I'm doing and why I'm making my decisions, then I probably would have cleared all that out in 2 minutes. But it's all for the stream. It's all for the content. Now, speaking of the stream, I do have to take you off full screen here so that I can go through each one of these jobs on Voice123 and make sure that these clients aren't showing their full first and last name. Our friends at Voice123 asked me to do this so that we're not doxing anybody, basically. So we're doing that right now. And I got a couple more to look through. And it looks like virtually every one of these clients has chosen to have their name just show as client number, yada, 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 yada. Okay, and they all have. Good. Okay, so now we're going to go through the Voice123 queue, and we're going to clear away all the jobs that we know that we're not interested in for various reasons, which we'll discuss. All right, first reason being, let's take a look right here. We'll zoom in to right here. These two numbers, 71 out of 50. So this client has requested to hear 50 proposals or auditions from talent. They have already received 71 proposals or auditions from talent. Anything beyond this 50 number, my understanding is that this client has paid a certain number to hear 50 proposals. If they want to hear proposal number 51 and beyond, they have to pay extra. I could be wrong about that, but that's my understanding of how it works on the client side of things. So it just seems to me that once they hit their 50, they're going to go, all right, well, we got to pick out of these 50. Ain't no way we're going to invest more. So I never submit for anything where they're over the listed amount of proposals. So we just clear those out. We don't get FOMO or worry about not having seen those earlier. Okay. Next reason that I get rid of things, and we have none of them. Anytime it just says looking for a quote, I don't do those. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not going to figure out what your budget might be. You need to tell me your budget, and then I'll decide if I want to audition for your job. But we don't have any of those here today. That's great. Great to see. So now we try to look for other obvious reasons from the main dashboard view that we might get rid of things. So for example, if something is meant for talent who speak a certain language or are bilingual or are a certain demographic that isn't us, those kinds of things we tend to pass on. And it looks like none of these. Oh, nope, one of these. They're looking for African-American talent. Obviously that's not us, so we're going to pass on that one. Let's take a look at, this one has a bit of a, okay, they're clearly looking for French talent, or at least Francophone talent. Maybe this is Quebecois, given that they're, it does say English USA and Canada, English British, and French European. So they may be open to francophones of any background. They may not be looking for a specific French accent. So that's kind of interesting to see. But it seems like this budget should probably be a little bit higher. When you start looking at bilingual talent, you should be paying more for that. But often you actually see the inverse, which is very strange. Okay, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs that maybe we are right for. Let's just go from the top now. Now, this one I'm going to be extra attentive off the bat because the payment is listed in euros. So we need to make sure that they are indeed looking for American talent. And it does say English, USA, and Canada. So this could be a European client looking to speak to the American market. Let's take a look at this copy. Festive moments of communication, sport, fan ID cards, Okay, so they're marketing some kind of something to sports fans. Now, I'm going to pass on this one because I'm not really the sports promo guy. People hear my voice and they don't think, sports guy. And that's fitting because I am not a sports guy at all whatsoever. I'm not going to submit for this because on Voice123, you live and die by the algorithm. And you improve your standing in the algorithm by being really choosy about what you submit auditions for. Only submit auditions for which you are really, really well suited. If the specs describe you to a T, then go ahead and submit an audition. But if there's anything there that's like, that's not really me, then do not submit an audition on Voice123. On voices.com, you can play. If something just seems interesting to you, then by all means, go ahead and fire off an audition. It won't hurt you in any kind of algorithmic way on voices.com. Voice123, however, you have to be so careful about what you submit for. When I first came to Voice123, I didn't have that mindset, and I submitted for every single thing that I saw that looked interesting. Like, I was like, oh my God, there's so many auditions. I'm going to submit. And within a week, I found myself in the bottom 20% of talent on Voice123. And that is a figure that you can see if you look in your profile. I won't bring it up on stream because it would reveal all kinds of other client information, which I obviously don't want to do. But yeah, I found myself in the bottom 20% of talent on Voice123. And once the algorithm has decided you're bottom 20%, your experience on Voice123 is pretty miserable. You start seeing jobs way after everybody else has had a pick at them. And therefore, the jobs you see are the low or no budget jobs, and just weird, I'm going to be frank, low quality work that is going to be a pain to slog through. But over months and months and months, I did it. I slogged through it and slowly built up my standing in the algorithm to where I am back in the top 20% of talent on Voice123. So it can be done. You can destroy your reputation algorithmically on Voice123, and you can climb your way back up. It might have been easier to just nuke the account, call my investment a loss and like roll a new email address and just pay a new annual fee. That might have been easier. I'm sure that would be a violation of terms of service or something like that, but might have been easier. But I did it the hard way, and I just built my standing back up by just being really careful about the algorithm. All right, we've got a plumbing spot. 16 out of 50 proposals received. English, U.S., male adult. Really need someone that can nail the pun of this script, but definitely don't want something over the top or leaning too much into the joke. Okay. Are your home's plumbing problems you feeling drained? Okay. This one feels like this might be it. I'm not going to do my Home Depot Ford trucks read, which some plumbing spots might want that. This one is seeming more like, the dad read. That's kind of what this seems like they're looking for, especially since there's a pun, a nice little joke here at the top. So we'll run into this. Hello? There we go. Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? I think there's a couple of good reads here. I think the last one is a good choice. I think the first two are probably a no. Let's take a listen. Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Maybe? Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? No, don't like that one. Are your home's plumbing problems leaving you feeling drained? Nope, don't like that one. Let's listen to this one. Problems leaving you feeling drained? Let's give them these three. All right, just trim these up. Then we're going to grab this, paste, cut that up. Just trimming up the heads and tails here, and then pasting in some room tone. And get it at the end there. All right, that's everything. Hit our crossfades, turn on our denoiser, bounce this out. Plumbing add, okay. Plumbing add. Accept the invite. Grab the file. This response, I'm happy with that. There we go. And it's that easy. Cool. Next track is ready to go if we see something that we like. All right. Life's Little Skills narrator role. Okay, so this is for a children's book. Narrator's dialogue totals approximately 3 minutes in length. And their budget is $400. See, this is an appropriate budget for audiobook related work here. Yeah, this client knows what's up. This is good. They've got lots of usage information. They're very, very clear about what the actual usage is. Very good. Let's take a look at this. This might actually be, usually like children's books and children's related stuff is not for us, but if it's specifically this sort of storytime narrator kind of voice, that's something that I feel good about for myself. But let's take a look here. It was a bright and sunny morning. The kids got off the bus and walked through the front door of Sykes Elementary. Okay, so for these, you're going to be a little bit more sing-songy than you would be for traditional audiobook narration, of course. And you're going to have a little bit of smile in your voice. Sort of reading it almost as though, the way I like to think of it is that I'm going to read these as though these lines are going to rhyme, but they don't. They don't rhyme. Well, I'm going to check. Doesn't look like they rhyme. Which is not to say I'm implying some kind of like trochees or iambs or anything. Like I'm not implying like an actual a metric rhythm or anything, but there's going to be sort of a song, a call and response to a lot of these lines, at least in the way that I read them. So we're going to jump in and give this one a shot here. Arm the track. Here we go. It was a bright and sunny morning. The kids got off the bus and walked through the front door of Sykes Elementary. Today was an exciting day. Sykes Elementary was having Donuts with Dads. Donuts with Dads was held every year in the gymnasium. It was an early morning breakfast program for the students and their dads to eat delicious donuts with Principal Clark. The students at Psych Elementary had been working very hard on learning proper nutrition and exercise. With all the talk about food... Whoop. Make sure we're on the right track here for that. All right, here we go. And now you're going to hear what the punch and roll sounds like. I like a 2-second pre-roll, so you're going to hear my audio for about 2 seconds, and I'm going to start talking along with it so that when we hit the playhead, it's like runners passing off a baton. Right at the moment where it hits that playhead, and from pre-roll to post-roll, suddenly we are recording. Proper nutrition and exercise. With all of the talk about food, Stephen and the crew couldn't wait until lunchtime. It was another exciting day in the gymnasium, and the crew couldn't wait until lunchtime. It was another exciting day in the gymnasium of Sykes Elementary. Coach set up a group of fitness stations and was really pumped about the kids learning how to exercise properly. All week, he stayed after school to ensure this lesson would be successful. However, Coach would learn a valuable lesson in working with others. So, we're going to stop there because for voiceover type work, 50 to 60 seconds is the standard for what you give a client for an audition. There can be some very niche sort of edge cases where you might give them a little more, but generally speaking, you just give them 50 to 60 seconds and that's fine. And if the script is longer than that, you can stop. We chose a natural stopping point, i.e. at the end of one of these sections, and we're good to go here. Let's just listen to the first few seconds here. It was a bright and sunny morning. The kids got off the bus and we're gonna give this opening 1 or 2 lines another shot here. We're going to give it a little bit more care. The first 3 seconds of your audition are going to be where the vast majority of casting decisions get made, yes or no. And usually that's just a no. If in the first 3 seconds, you don't match the voice that's in their head. That doesn't mean you're bad. That just means you're just not the right voice. So we're going to make sure to just give them the best representation of what we will actually deliver in the best light so that if we are close to the right voice, we want to make sure that we're not being eliminated for any other reason. It was a bright and sunny morning. The kids got off the bus and walked through the front door of Sykes Elementary. Today was an exciting day. Sykes Elementary was having donuts with dads. Donuts with dad. Okay, that's where we're going to cut there. I think we like all that. And hello, please. Let's see where we are. Exciting day. Sykes Elementary was having donuts with dads. Donuts with dad. All right, we need to preserve the breath prior to that. Ooh, and maybe we'll get rid of that thing there. There we go. So that section's done. We are going to put something like that between the sections. And now the rest of this edit, super, super easy because we did punch and roll recording. However, this one we are going to have to listen to. It was another exciting... Actually, this one we're going to delete that breath altogether. Generally speaking, you are not deleting or eliminating breaths. And maybe we actually leave that part of the breath in. Let's listen. Wait until lunchtime. It was another... Yeah, let's give it more of a gap. Until lunchtime. It was another exciting day in the gymnasium of Sykes Elementary. Okay. There we go. And let's get this out. This is Sykes narrator is what we're going to call it. Sykes narrator. There we go. So for this, we're going to change up our response text to this client. We're going to go ahead and tick the negotiable box here. So here, I've got a couple of things copy-pasted. So let's paste in the audiobook response. So That actually looks good to me. We're not going to mess with that anymore. So over on Voices, when you respond to a client, let's go ahead and do it here. You've got different templates that you can grab from. So I've got my general response, I've got my audiobook response, and so forth. But over on Voice123, you don't have that. You've just got the one text field. Now, it does preserve the text from the last job, basically the last text that you used the last time you responded to a job. So if you just have the same response every single time, that's fine. But I like to have specialized responses for certain kinds of clients. And so if something is related to audiobooks, I've got an audiobook response. And so that's what this response is here. And since this is an audiobook project, that's what I'm going with. And I'm happy with that response. I'm not going to tailor it any further. I just have to remember the next time I respond to a client that's not an audiobook, that I'm going to have to revert that to my previous response template. Now, because there's no drop-down list of templates, you're going to have to, what I recommend is having like a text document on your desktop that has little snippets of all your different responses to where you can just go and copy-paste the appropriate one depending on the job. I am using a Stream Deck, and it's got the ability to sort of have little, like I just press a button and boom, it calls up the copy-paste of the particular response. But if you're not a big nerd and working with a Stream Deck, then just have a copy-paste document on your desktop. Let's take a look here. Defense mechanism. This job just rolled in. And is this, oh yeah, this is the garbage audiobook client. And I am not afraid of saying that on the stream. This client is garbage, and every job that they post is garbage. Come at me. I hope the client sees this. Let's take a look here. Where is audiobook rate calculator? Let's bring it up here, and let's demonstrate why this client is garbage and every job they post is garbage. We can go ahead and clear this email out because we just saw it. Okay, so this client is posting this job. Now, when you might look at this job and go like, $970, oh my God, dollar sign emoji. But you got to see how much you're going to have to work for that $970. Recording length, 77,000 words. Let's punch in 77,560 in our calculator. Now, let's put in the budget, $970. And would you look at that? Your per finished hour rate is $116 per finished hour of audio. And the per finished hour, if you're wanting to get into audiobooks, this is the number, the per finished hour, PFH. You will see those letters a lot when people are talking about rates. You want to become familiar with this, and you want to become familiar with what you can afford to work at as an audiobook narrator. When you're just starting, 1 hour of finished audio doesn't take 1 hour to produce. It takes many more than that to produce a finished hour. And for a newer narrator, that number tends to be between 6 and 10. 6 and 10 hours of your labor to produce one finished hour of audio. And yes, that means this project length is going to be a little bit over 8 hours. Yes, that means you are going to be laboring for 40 to 80 hours. Likely, what is that? Okay, 48 to 80 hours based on those numbers. 48 to 80 hours of your actual labor will go into producing this audiobook. Now, would you work for 2 weeks for $970? Maybe in your state, maybe that's like a reality for some people based on the minimum wage and all that. And, you know, that's one thing. What that breaks down to, your hourly rate, if you just take the average of 6 to 10 hours to produce one, just say that it's 8 hours. 8 hours of labor to produce one finished hour of audio. That means you're earning $14.50 an hour. And in many states in the United States, that's less than minimum wage. And in every state, that is below a living wage. There's nowhere in America that I know of that a single person can afford an efficiency apartment at that rate. The other thing that you have to consider, 8 hours a day. Sure, I'm going to make that work. I'm going to grind. I'm going to hustle. You can't work on an audiobook for 8 hours a day. You can't. You just can't. Your voice will not hold up. And maybe if you power through for one day, drink all the tea and all that stuff, the next day you're not going to be able to do it. No one is able to do that day in, day out, day after day after day. The human voice, there are stamina limits, and you will quickly start to run into those. I know for my own voice, 3, maybe 4 hours a day is my limit, and then my voice is completely shredded, and I might even have to take a day off if I push it that far. So the idea that you're going to work for 8 hours a day every day, I'm going to pull even more, like, that's a good dollar rate where I live. You can't do it, and that is why this number needs to be higher. Also, what we're doing as audiobook narrators is not unskilled labor that you should be only paid minimum wage for. We are providing extremely skilled labor. We're doing the work of 5+ people when we do audiobook narration. We are our own directors nowadays. We are our own engineers. We're our own mix engineer. We are our own landlord. Back in the day, you had to pay session fees to the studio to book out time. And we are the narrator. So that's at least 5 people that are involved with making this happen, which in the 90s, you'd have to be paying probably 5 different people just for the audiobook narration recording part. And now they're just paying 1. So asking for a real living wage is not an insult. It's not a ripoff. It's not a racket. $250 per finished hour is my quote to new clients, and that is very much a fair market rate. Your mileage may vary. You may find that working on these kinds of projects is great, and if that's the case, by all means, audition for this job, and good luck with you. Good luck with you. But this client consistently only submits jobs at that exact hourly rate. Like they have calculated down to the word. They know exactly what they want to pay per finished hour, and it always comes up to $116, $117 finished dollars per finished hour. So they are very comfortable with that rate. They seem to have good success finding probably novice audiobook narrators that they can screw over and over and over again. Look at this. Over 1,000 postings. Over 1,000 postings. And they're just screwing people. Every time they book something, they're just screwing people. So, yeah. Apparently there's some way that I can block this client. I was told that there was a way. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any way that I can block this guy. This client right here, 101-7827, I see him every day. I'm not seeing anywhere here where I can block them. Just not seeing it. So, big bummer that I have to keep seeing this client's garbage. But hey, at least you're giving me a couple minutes of content on the stream by giving me the opportunity to talk about what garbage you are. 101-7827. You're garbage. You're garbage. Decline budget. Okay, let's move on to the next one, shall we? Life's Little Skills Coach. Let's see. Okay, this is, again, that same client that we did the narrator thing for. Here I'm reading for coach. Now, again, we've talked about how I'm not the sports guy, so I'm probably also not the coach guy. But let's take a look at this. Let's go, Adelaide, while you're walking. So I here doing purely just the character work of this coach, and especially sort of like having to portray empathy towards a child. That's not me. Empathy towards kids? Ew, no. So we're going to pass on that one. 60 seconds, self-watering planter. Starts out warm and engaging, then transitions to a confident tone when discussing the product's features and benefits to convey reliability and professionalism. Tired of seeing your plants wilt and die? Meet the Leafy Pod Planter, your smart, self-watering solution. It takes only 5 minutes to set up, featuring 4 advanced sensors that monitor soil moisture, temperature, humidity, and light. Okay, seems simple and straightforward enough. However, at this budget, I'm not really super interested in it. So we're gonna pass. It also, this is a little bit of a red flag. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a little bit. It gives me caution. So what do you call that? Like an orange flag, a yellow flag? It's a caution flag. When I see that they aren't super sure about the age range is less important. Like male young adult and male adult. Like, okay, what does that mean? Like, so are you looking for someone who's like early 20s as far as their voice sound? But this here is what gives me pause. If you don't know whether you're looking for a male or a female voice, y'all need to have another creative meeting before you get to this point. If you can't nail down, like, I get this, you're trying to straddle an age range and you're sort of open to a couple of different sounds, that's fine. But if you don't know whether you want a male or a female voice, then yeah, you need to have another creative meeting and figure that out before you come to a voice casting website, because you're potentially wasting the time of an entire gender. So that's a no for me, dog. All right, that's everything on Voice123. Let's head over to ACX. Let's make this big. Let's refresh. And we can see right away that we've got nothing new in our price bucket. I have seen this and every other audition in this price range. And in fact, there are only 15 projects that meet my current filters here. And that's not even with the gender filter applied. Now there's only 11 projects that meet our filter. That is the state of things currently on ACX. If you are selective in the genres and in the price bucket that you look in, there's not a lot of titles coming in. One thing you have to be sure to do, though, is you need to check frequently. Because sometimes a book will go up, the author immediately gets 20 auditions within the first 30 minutes. That does happen. And within those first 30 minutes, they hear the voice that they know that they want, and so they immediately take the project down so that their inbox isn't continuously flooded with new audition notices. First-time author, right holder people will often get just shocked by the flood of emails that they get, and so they will quickly sort of remove the project from people's feeds. So like this book here, The Dude, Where's My Flying Car, and some of these other books, like, how many emails are just like, I bet they're bouncing by now. I bet they're bouncing because like these people's inboxes are being just flooded from audiobook narrators sending in their audition, even though this book has been up for months potentially. This job posted April 6th. Do we really think that after over 2 months, this rights holder is going to go, oh, this audition came today, I'm going to listen to it right away, and maybe that's the one. I'm just waiting for the right voice. No, this is an abandoned title. I doubt this job will ever actually get cast and produced into an audiobook. At some point, ACX will just do basically a house cleaning every once in a while. Pruning is what it is in forum speak for all my elder millennials out there who spent a lot of time on the internet in the early 2000s. Eventually, ACX will do some pruning. They'll find all of these old jobs that just maybe I'm sure they can see on their end, like, okay, this rights holder hasn't even logged into ACX in 3 months. Like, this is an abandoned project, so we're just going to get rid of it. And if the rights holder wants to sort of revive the project at some point in the future, that's up to them. But for now, we're going to make it so where talent isn't seeing old, crusty-ass projects like this showing up in our feed. And this is just the first page. There's even more. Okay, only one. Data Panda's Fussy Eating Mission, posted February 6th. This is an abandoned project. Ain't no way this is being casted. Just ain't no way. So if you're out there thinking like, ooh, I'm gonna, maybe if you've got things your genre filters set up. Maybe you're like really wanting to be a children's audiobook narrator. Maybe that's your thing. Be careful when you see something like this, like, oh my God, it's for a great rate, and it's a cool children's book. Take a look here. Posted February 6th. It's not a real project. It's not just that you're not going to get this. Nobody's going to get this. This is not a real project. It's not going to be made into an audiobook. At least not at this time. They'll take it down and they'll repost it if it is. But like just looking at it, this seems like this rights holder seems like maybe they were super motivated. They put some notes here. They put lots of tags for vocal style. It's got some ratings on Amazon. This would seem like a very real project. But then you just have to look. Date posted to ACX, February 6th. And we're recording this June 12th. There's no way. I have a feeling that this author / rights holder got inundated with all the auditions that came in for a project in this price bucket. I bet they got over 100. They got inundated with all of those. They got overwhelmed, and they were like, I can't listen to all these auditions. I'm overwhelmed. Never mind. Or maybe they just lost their password, and they can't log into their account anymore. But yeah, keep that in mind. You got to look. You should be like, auditions are a numbers game. Like, don't fall in love with one title. Like, I know I'm the perfect narrator for this book. Don't fall in love like that. This is a numbers game. You need to be just like firing off auditions nonstop until there are none left, and then you've won. And then if you get to that point where you've sent off every audition that you can, then maybe you need to start expanding your reach a little bit. Maybe you need to be looking in the royalty share categories. Maybe you need to potentially drop down into a lower price bucket. If the alternative is doing nothing, then doing a low-paying audiobook might be the thing to do, especially if you've got a really small portfolio at this time. As you build the portfolio, not only does it look good to potential clients, but that is a built-in engine for future clients, because if you do audiobook number 1 for an author, you are the logical first stop for them when they're searching for an audiobook narrator for book number 2 and beyond. And hopefully everyone grows together. You don't need to feel like you're locked into a rate. Like, oh, I did that first audiobook for this author for $50 per finished hour. So like, it's a 10-book series now. I got to keep that rate for the whole series. No, you do not. That first book, you were a beginner. The author was also a beginner. As you both grow in your skills and your portfolio, you both should be able to afford to do better work. So that author should be developing their marketing budget, their layout, their proofing budget. All of the things that should make each successive book better should also make each successive audiobook better, which means they should be able to pay you more because your skills will have improved from doing more audiobooks. I am getting ready to start on book 10 of a series. And book 1 of this series was one of my earlier audiobooks. It was one of my first 10 that I ever did. And I go back and listen to that and I think, wow, like I have grown a lot as a narrator. Like, I won't say that it's outright embarrassing, but it makes me sort of grateful that that author stuck with me. And I've stuck with the author because the author has understood that as they grew in their art, creating these books, I also grew as an artist creating the audiobooks, and so the rates have all gone up accordingly. Now, it's understandable that you might want to give some kind of like loyalty discount or something like that, and that's fine, and that is something I do with that particular author. But inflation is a real thing. Like rents are going up, groceries are more expensive. Like all of that stuff is very real, and so your author/right holder partners will understand, and they'll feel it too. But Audible and Amazon, they're raising the prices for readers and listeners, and that means the authors are actually getting paid more for every copy sold. So they're actually getting paid more, so they can afford to pay you more as a result. That's the name of the game. That's inflation. Inflation hurts because things cost more, but when you own a small business, you're setting your own rate. You're deciding what you pay yourself. So make the decision to pay yourself more by quoting higher in accordance simply with inflation, but also in accordance with the improved skill and experience that you've developed. That is going to be it for the stream. We're cutting it short today because we have done all the work that we can do on voices.com. We'll refresh just to make sure. Yep, these two jobs, not going to respond to either of those. Voice123. Yep, we've got an empty queue there. And none of these jobs on ACX interest us at all, because in this price bucket, the royalty share, it would have to be an exceedingly compelling title for us to consider. And look at all these things. Oh, I guess maybe it's the same title in a million languages. Anyway, we're not interested in any of the royalty share options there, and there's nothing new in our price bucket. And even if there was, as I said, I am up to my neck in audiobook work. So we're going to shut the stream down for now, but we're going to come back and do some live narration of my current audiobook project with Podium Audio. Only on Twitch, though. It will not be on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube and you want to see some live audiobook narration, head on over to Twitch, follow, and you'll get a little notification when I go live for that. And I'm doing that because Podium Audio has some rules about live streaming any books that you are contracted to do with them. And those rules preclude YouTube, and they also preclude me saving and publishing the VODs on Twitch. So if you're out there creeping my streams days after the fact on Twitch, you won't be able to see any of these live narration things. But if you want to come by and see what live narration looks like, you can do that on Twitch, and that will be starting maybe in the next hour or two here. And I've got a lot to do today. We want to get at least through 2 of these big, beefy chapters. If I can get 4 done today, that would be a major, major accomplishment. That would make me feel really good about myself. But right now, I want to say thank you for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that your auditions are going well. Hit me up with any questions during the chat, or maybe a comment on YouTube. I do see those, and I do respond to them. Ask me about gear, about software, about the business, and I'll do my best to answer. My name is Jimmy Moreland. VeteranAudio.com is the website. If you want to pay me to talk for you, head over to VeteranAudio.com. You can check out demos there, and there will be links to contact me, and we can work out details, and I'll talk for you in exchange for cash. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Cheers. We'll see you next time.